Jazz hands.
Jazz hands? Yeah. Oh, jazz hands.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands.
Admiring your jazz hands.
Jazz hands. This is kind of disappointing today because we don't have the panda paws.
That's what we were saying.
Right? Yeah.
I'm a bit sad now.
The panda is without a camera.
But you know what?
He's a secret panda today.
Secret panda?
Secret pandas, yes.
Oh, all right. I was going to try to make a Perry the Platypus reference there, but I couldn't do it.
Secret Panda Man.
Privacy Panda works better. He's Privacy Panda today.
Well, you know what?
Why does it still say starting soon on mine?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it because I'm about to push a button and we're going to go ahead and say, hello, everyone. My name is Matoro, and today's date is April 29th, 2023, and welcome back to Boosters and Space Tape Relaunched, the podcast about Kerbal Space Program, real space, and other cool and sciencey stuff. And with me are my friends and fellow hosts, as always, the Thunder from Down Under. Right there, Mr. Digital Psychosis.
Hi.
The one. The one and only, the underscore, Mr. Akinesis Gaming.
Well, hello. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't next on the list according to the script.
I'm ad-libbing.
He's spicing it up.
I'm spicing it up. Yes.
You got to pay attention.
Yeah.
And the one that keeps us all glued together, the one and only TheReadPanda, who is currently without camera today, but he's still here.
Panda.
Yep.
So, hello, we're back.
Hi.
I'm back. I was away for a little bit. I was doing Starship things, but we'll get to that. But hey, guys, I missed you.
Hello.
I see you didn't blow it up without me here, so kudos.
No, it was bizarre.
I was listening to the episode while driving. It was strange not being there. So,
Yep.
yeah. I still don't. That was my first episode that I missed, so it's just like, what's going on here? What? Something's wrong. Just like the chat overlay's not working. Why is that not working?
Because my audio cues weren't working very well because normally I ignore Digi when he starts talking. Yeah, he was the one that was running the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So it's difficult to keep up.
Hold up.
Well, hey, look, I'm back in charge today. Well, we'll see if that's good or not. But yeah, how about we go ahead and get this thing started off, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna go ahead and let Aki start because I got a bit to talk about and I need to collect my thoughts on where to even start.
See, I wasn't expecting that either.
Hey, we're spicing it up.
What's the point in a script if we're not going to follow it?
Just to screw with
What's
you.
a script? Hey, look.
My anxiety is super heightened right now.
All right,
Sorry,
so
Aki.
I'm going to just say this straight out. I was taking control last time. There is no script anymore. It does not work. It's not going to be a thing.
This thing hasn't been edited in years. Why are you reading it, Aki? Yeah.
Exactly.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes,
would
I'll
you?
start.
Okay.
No,
All
it's fine.
right. Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
No, it's fine.
what have I been-
Okay, over to you, sir.
Well, I have been doing some things. These guys are aware. First of all, my amplifier, my soundboard did pack up. So I've had to buy something else until I get that one fixed. I got a Focusrite Scarlett, which are very good, actually. Little compact USB soundboards.
Lovely.
I've done the VR thing, which I've not done the KSP VR thing that I promised last time. I've done something else instead. I was going to ask you, Digi, what VR headset have you got?
I got a Vive.
You got a Vive. I thought you
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've got the Rift S, which Meta, the company that makes it, I don't know if it's still Oculus, but it's run by Meta anyway, have just seemed to have completely dumped the DK1, DK2, Rift and Rift S support.
Oh,
Certainly
really?
hardware. I'm not sure about software. Yeah, they want you to buy their new one, which is the wireless ones.
yeah.
Because I needed to order some new parts for the VR headset. Inevitably, the bands, the cushion that sits around the eyepiece that hugs the face, it just erodes through sweat after time, as you can imagine. So I went to order one, and they don't do it anymore. They said, no, just buy our new one. Well, it was a bit pants, really, because of all, the DK, the development kits,
Yeah.
the Rift progressed onto or allowed the company to inevitably come out with their new ones.
Yeah.
And they've just suddenly dumped the old ones. I don't know whether they're supporting it. They're certainly not supporting it in a hardware sense, but software, I'm not sure. But I had a VR night with some mates the other day. I took my computer downstairs, plugged it up to the TV, cleared the room, just killed robots. But it is extremely temperamental now. I haven't used it in a while. Extremely temperamental to the point where the computer just started crashing. It wouldn't even boot. So we abandoned that pretty quickly. So I don't think it is supported software-wise anymore. So that really annoyed me. So I didn't do the KSP1 VR test, but I will talk about it a little bit in the relevant section. But other than that, just quickly to the absolute horror, this podcast is not discoverable as a Kerbal Space Program podcast, which I've spoken to these guys about. But I didn't realise just how undiscoverable we have been all this time. I've been looking at the download stats, and I kind of measured our little podcast off of that, and I thought we're doing quite well. But if you type in Kerbal Space Program podcast, because I noticed in past forum posts, people ask, is there a Kerbal Space Program podcast? And we're like, well, yes, there is. We've been doing it for years. All right, a bit on and
Yes,
off.
there is. Hi.
Yeah, hi, here we are. I've been here quite a while. But if you type in Kerbal Space Program podcast into Google, it doesn't appear. And actually, in the streaming set or the podcast platforms like iTunes Podcast, Spotify, Audible, whatever, if you type in Kerbal Space Program, nothing comes up. The only way you can find us is if you know the name of our show, Boosters and Space Tape, and then we pop up. So I've spent a lot of time trying to fix that. And I wonder how many people we've actually missed all this time who are looking for a KSP podcast. So here I am apologizing again. So if you like this podcast and you know friends that like Kerbal Space Program, tell them about it because all this time
Share us,
we've
please.
not been searchable. Yeah.
And to become very YouTube, like and subscribe. No, seriously, like
Yes, please.
on podcasts, on podcast services like iTunes and all of that, leaving reviews is incredibly helpful. So if you can do that to help us out, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, it would. I fixed it, by the way. It's fixed. You type in Kerbal Space Program, at least in the podcast platforms or apps, we now appear.
You know what? I'm going to load up my phone just
Progress.
to prove that.
Yes, please do. Test it. Test it right now.
Well, Aki, you've been
but
busy.
Yes, tell a friend. Anyway, yeah, that's my personal progress. I'll leave it at that.
You've been busy with that, so.
I've actually been really annoyed. I've been up late at night, several nights. Yeah. I just, when you discover something that you've been doing for so long and you realize actually it's been to no effect or very little effect, and you think,
I've been working very, very hard on this, and oh God, why has it not worked? I feel like a failure.
Yes.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
I think we've all had those moments.
But there we go. Now, I'm looking at the script here, and it says
Just keep it going.
Pass this. Okay, Red.
Just keep it going.
Hi.
Privacy
I'm here.
Panda, it's over to you.
I'll go last.
Oh, what am I doing now?
Personal.
What have you done
What
for
have-
the last
what have you been
fortnight?
up to?
Oh, I've been playing video games. Well, I guess that's a presupposition, but the two I've been playing a lot are Terraformers and Mars Horizons. Those are Mars Horizon. Those are both older. I mean, they're not like brand new games. But they're both sort of, like the little mini games, replayable kind of things. I don't know how many people remember Mars Horizon, but it's a space race type thing where you play these mini games for each phase of the missions, and you research your rockets and you research your missions and your buildings, and you try to get a manned mission to Mars and that kind of thing. So, and the terraformers, you're terraforming Mars, so with like little cards and things like that progressively. So
Terraforming Mars, I've played the board game version, and it is fantastic. It is really fantastic as a board game. I'm sure the PC version plays very similarly. Great fun. Great fun. Highly recommend.
I've seen it before, but I've never played it.
It's good fun. Like it's surprisingly not as complex as you might think it is. Admittedly, my first time around, I bombed and came last because I didn't wrap my head around it. I was expecting it to be more complicated than it was. A really straightforward game. So, yeah.
Well, the computer one's not multiplayer, but yeah.
Can I just interject, actually? A short while ago... Okay.
No script.
Okay,
no script.
No, please, Aki, please give us what you have to say.
No, it's I say a short while ago, it was a long time ago. Someone mentioned the board game High Frontier for All, or High Frontier. It was on this show, I'm sure it was. And it's probably Digi that mentioned. Anyway, just talking about board games, I bought that recently because I'm sure it was Digi talking about it, and I took interest, and I bought it. I haven't played it yet, but it's an app. It's supposed to be like one of the best space board games that you can buy, and it's about mining in space, colonizing the solar system, blah blah blah. I'll play it and talk more about it another time. Sorry, just wanted to mention that.
Jeez,
Oh,
I have never seen this, but this looks fantastic.
Wait, what's the name of it?
High Frontier for All.
Yeah.
Oh, with the number 4. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was this show we were talking about it. It doesn't
I
matter.
don't think so. I have never seen this before, but this looks great.
Oh no,
Cool.
this looks dangerous.
Yes.
I think we should
Yeah,
keep moving though.
And yes, but there's different. So it looks intimidating, but there are different. I think it's about 4 different levels that you can play at. So there's a beginner level, which is very basic, and then you can get more and more advanced and more in depth as you get more familiar with it.
Oh dear.
Considering my mates and I spent 5 years playing Gloomhaven, this would be great. So, for anyone who hasn't heard of Gloomhaven, Gloomhaven is enormous. And yeah, it's a lot of scenarios. That's why it took us so long. So
Noted. So Red, was that all you had to talk about?
I broke my camera.
Well, yeah.
Sorry,
There's a reason you look a little different today.
we've thrown up the insanity panda in your place there, Red.
I see it.
Very, very happy insanity panda.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a cute little thing, isn't it?
It's cute. Cute. I love it so much.
It looks like how Red would look after 24 hours of streaming nonstop.
No, I think that's giving. I think I'd be unconscious.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Horizontal.
Okay,
yeah.
that's the moment before you fall unconscious. Then that panda
Yeah.
right there.
Look, just rotate the picture 90 degrees and you'll have red.
Oh.
I suppose that comes to me then, hey?
Yeah, I believe it does.
Yeah? All right. Okay. Well, my fortnight has been pretty significant. Lots of different things going on in the personal life, so I've been quite busy. The only thing that I've been able to manage is getting together with some friends each evening and playing Monster Hunter World.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Because ridiculous Japanese monster hunting game. My character looks basically like me, and for anyone who has seen my Twitter, it is my Twitter profile picture. That is a screenshot of my character from Monster Hunter. So you're welcome.
So that's what that is.
That's what that is from Monster Hunter World. It's not bad. It's pretty close.
It's very you.
It's very me. Very much me. So yeah, that's the thing. Outside of that, it's just been work. As I said, lots of things going on in the personal life, career-wise. So, fingers crossed that everything turns out quite well. If these things change, then I'm sure that I'll say something here or there about it. And painting Warhammer. That's been my life for the last fortnight. So,
You do that a lot.
I mean, look, I assemble Warhammer. If there is a shelf that I'm not showing you across the bottom of that Gundam that's up there, there's lots of grey, and I'm hiding the majority of it behind my chair right now. There's a lot of grey there.
Mm-hmm.
I've bought a
So,
lot of BattleTech figurines actually for I need to get painted up.
BattleTech, I love it so much.
I've just got into that thanks to a friend of mine at work. It's
Don't get me
serious fun.
started on BattleTech. I love it.
Well, I play MechWarrior 5. I've always played the MechWarrior. I came in at MechWarrior 2. I love Mech Commander, and I've now at this current all the others, but at the moment I'm playing MechWarrior 5 over and over again. And I'm now into the tabletop stuff for the first time in my life, and it's very fun.
Have you played BattleTech PC? The PC game BattleTech?
Yes, I've got that actually. Sorry, yes, it's the turn-based one. Yes.
Yeah. Great. Really good. I had a lot of fun with that.
Start playing that again soon once I finish this MechWarrior 5 playthrough.
Well, not to interrupt you two gentlemen, but we do need to keep things moving along.
You do.
Unfortunately.
I know. We're just kind of stroking our big mechanical whatevers right now.
Well,
you can have that one for a sound effect,
There's an
Aki.
edit,
you know what? Now I don't feel bad about interrupting you two to move into my personal progress.
No.
Speaking of big mechanical cylindrical objects.
Yes.
Well, there's more than that to talk about, considering the last time I was on here was before I even covered the Artemis 2 crew announcement. So, yeah, I've been busy the last month. I really haven't been playing much of anything, so...
Well, how much time have you actually spent at home?
3? Wait, well, 2.5, 3 weeks?
4 minutes?
But I've been working too, so
You're working, yeah.
And I just haven't had much energy after getting home each day. It's just like, but I was out of town for a week to well, first for a couple of days to cover the Artemis 2 crew announcement, which went splendidly. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a real space, because I had a chance to interview Victor Glover, the pilot for Artemis 2. It was a short, I think it was like 5 minutes that we had with him, but it was still incredible. And then the big thing, which I'll also touch on in real space, is my cameras went to see the face of God. They were 1,200 feet from Starship, and thankfully they both still work. I lost the lens, I lost the battery grip, but the cameras still work, sort of.
To be fair, at least it wasn't an entire car.
It still started up.
True.
It still started up, which was we all celebrated at the camera pickup when that thing started up. I was like, yahoo! But yeah. Starship is a very powerful rocket, and it holds nothing back. But
talking about it.
So am I. But that's about what I've been up to. I spent a week in Texas, and and I went to Space Center Houston for like the 5th time. Still a fun place.
Hey.
I recommend, especially if you want to see the Apollo 17 capsule. Definitely recommend.
Okay.
And maybe touch a Falcon 9 grid fin.
Oh,
It's like Finding Nemo with touch the butt. Just touch the fin.
We got the Apollo 10 capsule in the Science Museum over here, actually, which I'm
jealous. I want to see it, but that's so far.
And they've got the space section actually is really good. In fact, I went there with Red Munchkin Gaming.
Really?
And Million Lights, a few years ago.
Nice.
And they got a full-scale lunar module there as well. Replica. The space section is very good in the Science Museum.
I will have to make it over there one day. One day.
Well, let me know when you do, as I need to come over there.
Yes, yes.
To look at your rocketry stuff.
Yes, yes, you must. Come see a rocket go to space while you're at it. We have
Geez,
that
the
over
only-
here. Haha.
The only thing that's been in space that I've touched was a Skylab nitrogen tank. You know,
Hey, that still
they were
counts.
using it as a
yeah,
they were using it as a doorstop, basically.
Amazing.
I mean, it's huge. It's like 2 feet wide, 2 feet in diameter, but it was basically a glorified doorstop.
We should cover that again, from a look back and nostalgia perspective.
That's
A
a
look
good
back,
idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
But-
I don't think we really reported that in the podcast, did we? We just kind of
No.
we streamed it.
Yeah, you just streamed
No.
it.
Talk about that one time, did you?
We will.
Space
We will.
section.
I like this idea.
But speaking of things we cover in the podcast, that's going to do it for my personal progress. So I think it's about time we scoot our way into the Kerbal section, shall we? Mr.
Well,
Mr.
yes,
Gaming, would you
nearly-
like to take lead?
I will. Nearly half an hour in, and not talked about KSP yet.
Hey, we're doing
Um,
fine.
We are. So last episode, I said I was going to KSP 1. There's a mod which allows you to. It makes it VR, and I said I was going to try it out because of the VR problem that I had recently. I decided against it, but I did look at the promo for the mod. If you go to Space Dock, the information for the mod is there, and there's a video. It actually looks really cool. So I think it is only IVA, but you sit in the capsule, but you actually press all the buttons. It's a lot more interactive than I thought it would be.
Really?
And I will get around to testing it. But you sit in the capsule as a Kerbal, of course, and all the buttons are interactive, and you control it with your joysticks, or hand controllers, I should say. And you move the joystick and the throttle with your hand controllers. I thought it would be just a visual thing and you still have to use the keyboard and mouse, but it's not the case at all. It's almost like raster prop monitor in VR. So you do interact with the cockpit and the instruments, and you control the vessel with your hand controllers via the throttle and joystick in the capsule. So
That's cool.
yeah, so I will give that some proper attention. But as I mentioned earlier, with the VR stuff, my VR headset, I'm falling out of love with it at the moment, which is why I was interested in asking Digi about the Vive and how he gets on with that, really.
Yeah, it's
I suppose-
good unit.
Yeah,
Expensive unit, but good unit.
doesn't crash your computer constantly.
Look, all I will say about it is if I had my time again, I would get an Oculus.
Really, because
Mm.
I would say, having had an Oculus, if I had my time again, I'd get a Vive.
I mean,
Maybe
a
they're both
new
fairly
Oculus. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Sorry, the new one.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Although
it's
that's what I want to
it's
do.
not a technical thing. It's a software availability thing, right?
Yeah.
So there's more games that are compatible with the Oculus than the Vive.
And that's the issue I have as well. If I went over to Vive, all the Oculus games I've bought will be meaningless because they're through the Oculus
you go.
Store.
Because the Oculus Store.
But I don't want to be bullied into buying a new headset just because they don't want to support the old ones anymore. I think that's really bad form. Anyway, different conversation for a different podcast.
I take it you don't use an Apple phone.
I was going to say, look,
do,
it's
actually.
meta.
Then you should be no stranger. Sorry, carry on.
No, yeah. It's the way. Anyway, what I did do actually for KSP 2, patch 2, I did some playtesting. So, I have two computers. Well, I have one computer. My son has a computer, but he has my old computer. So my computer that I currently got, it's an i7 9700K running an RTX 2080 Super. And I bought this in 2020, by the way, or built this in 2020. My old computer sat next to me here, which my son uses. I've given it to him. I built that in 2012, and it's an i7 3770K with a GTX 1070. So they're very. That's a third gen i7. My current computer is a 9th gen i7. They're years apart. And I was
The 1070 is the graphics card that I used before I upgraded recently.
And mine's,
Well, that
By
was my,
recently, I mean a year ago.
Say again, Red.
and mine's older than that.
Yeah, because you've got a 900 series, haven't you? So
No, I've got a Titan. I've got a
Okay.
980 in my stream PC and a Titan GTX in the game PC,
Okay.
which is pre-10.
Right.
Pre-10
so,
Titan. Yeah.
I mean,
And
1070 is still an old graphics card now.
and my CPU, I think I've got an i5000 something, i5 5000.
5th gen.
Fifth gen.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
okay, so this rig is an older processor, but a slightly newer graphics card. Now, I was interested to see how they run KSP2 on patch 2, because last episode we were talking about there was some reporting performance increases, some people weren't. And we figured that actually what was happening was the newer rigs were just powering through the performance issues that the old rigs just couldn't do. Okay, so what I did two things. I flew a plane around the KSC. I used the stock craft as well, and then I went to the moon and I landed on the moon using the stock rockets. So flying around the KSC. So yeah, my computer now, i7 9th gen RTX 2080 Super, not old but certainly not new. The other rig, i7 3rd gen GTX 1070. The graphics on both were set to high, which is the default. I just left it at the default. Right, flying around the KSC. My rig, 45 frames per second. The old rig, 17 frames a second. So there is a bit of difference. But 17 frames a second, on average that is, it went up and went down. But on average, it's about 17. But that's still playable.
That's better than mine.
Well, okay. But in the last episode, 20 frames per second is still very playable. Had I not... And Red, you yourself mentioned, if you couldn't see the frame rate, you probably
still
wouldn't
be
care
playable.
that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the placebo thing that was mentioned. 17 is still playable, I thought. It was 25 frames per second when landed, 17 while flying. This computer, 45. And that was using the... I don't know if I guess it's a play on word, but it was the stock Ares or Eris K2 aircraft flying around the KSC. I didn't test it on this computer, but on the old computer, when I was about to crash and was crashing, it went very stuttery. But I didn't crash on my new computer, so I don't know if that was a game thing or if that was a hardware thing.
Right.
Okay, flying to the moon. Kerbal K2 rocket. Okay, this computer, 35 frames per second at launch. The old computer, 20. So still very playable.
Still playable.
Still playable. When I was lifting off the K2 rocket, the stock rocket, it has 4 boosters which separate when they're empty. There was a huge stuttering when that separation happened on both machines.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem to be a computer hardware issue. It was just the game itself.
Yeah, it sounds like CPU trying to calculate, 4 more objects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But both CPUs were exactly the same amount of stuttering. In orbit around Kerbin, 50 on the new machine. This is looking at Kerbin, by the way. 50 on my new machine and 22 on the old. But it was 50 frames per second when looking away from Kerbin. When I got to the moon, I transited to the moon. It was 40 looking at the moon on the new machine. On the old machine, it was 20. On the moon, on the descent down to the moon, 50 on the new machine, 30 on the old machine. On
30?
30.
That's better than I was getting.
Huh.
That's huge.
This is patch 2, by the way, version 0.1.2.0.
Okay.
On the moon, landed on the moon, 38 on the new machine, 25 on the old. And
Okay, that's pretty good numbers.
Yeah, and the final number, the EVA on the moon, 47 on the new machine, 28 on the old. My point is, on the old machine, which is again an i7 third generation with the GTX 1070, KSP2 on patch 2, I think is completely playable. The only times I had an issue was at booster separation, but that was true of both machines. And then when I was crashing, it went to very, very low frames.
Mm-hmm.
It was a slideshow when it was crashing, but I don't know if that was true on the new machine. That only happened on the old machine, but only crashed on the old machine. I thought it was pretty good. I think KSP2 is accessible to older machines, I'm happy to say.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna, blow smoke up Private Division's ass here and say that they have, created something that is perfectly optimized for lower end PCs, because that's quite clearly not true from the statistics. But I will say that it doesn't sound as bad as people are thinking, because we've come from an era where KSP1, having it run at 20 frames a second was a freaking miracle most of the time, especially when you start piling mods into it, which as a highly modded game almost became a prerequisite that you were going to mod it. You know? So
in fact, we've mentioned many, many times that KSP1 owes its success, at least in part, to the mod community.
Without a doubt.
100%. But I would say that in and of itself, as an overall assessment, in my opinion, I don't see this being any worse than Kerbal Space Program 1.
No.
No, I mean...
So, anyone who's complaining about it, stop.
Just speaking to the improvements Zaki was... I mean, the optimizations from patch 1 to patch 2 have... Because I did get a chance to play before I went to Texas. And I was getting, I think it was like sub 30 frames a second. And this is a 12th gen i7 on with a RTX 3060 Ti. I was getting sub 30 on patch 1, and now I'm getting almost 60. Like, I'm getting mid 50s.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I think what I should do actually is run this test again on the first release, the 0.1.0. Actually, would be interesting next time to see, just to measure those improvements.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a real good idea.
At all. I'll do that next time.
Now, I will pipe up, and I will add to my sentiment that I gave before. Red, your circumstances with your PC and everything, totally different kettle of fish, as you said yourself before we even started this evening. Your hardware is like 8 years old.
Yes, that's my point. Is there is a line where past that it's workable. And nobody who's got 8-year-old plus components should expect it to run smoothly on a new gen game.
And the same could be said about
reasonable. That's not a complaint.
No.
That's an expectation.
No. Mine's just a qualification point, right? Like, because ultimately when KSP1 came out, the same could have been said about that. Like, it wouldn't have worked on 8-year-old tech.
No.
Still would have had the same sort of issues, right?
I couldn't run it and face rig at the same time on my streaming PC, so that's part of why I got a second computer.
It was always such a CPU intensive game. It's just
KSP1 was very CPU intensive.
I mean, even this one is too.
Yeah, KSP1 was like, what's a graphics card?
Yeah, it was very CPU intensive.
Incredibly. And then it's like, all right, cool. This will be fine. I've got a Threadripper, which, has 24 threads and, 12 cores. It's like, no, this is not going to help because...
just the first one's my home.
We only work on one thread.
Well, 32
no!
So it would,
Unity!
Help!
It was a very different game.
At least we can... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to wrap this up. The KSP2 bit. There's a few things. First of all, just going on the graphics. It's a beautiful game. This was the first time I went to space in KSP2. And I do not feel the need for visual mods. Like KSP 1 straight away was lacking in visual mods, wasn't it? Kerbin was just like a painted snooker ball, really. There was very little atmosphere effects. There was certainly no scatterer, and still to this day, no clouds. This KSP 2, I do not feel the need or the urge to put mods in.
The environment is just effects. So much more, so much fuller, so much better.
It is, yeah. I will say,
coolest part is that the clouds have shadows.
Yes.
Like, I'm sold straight away. Clouds have shadows. It's cool. Yes. Yes.
Okay, don't mind me. I'm going to check something out after this episode. I never noticed.
With the older machine, I will say that it was a bit laggy with the button presses, and loading times were a bit different, but I suppose that's to be expected. It was still very accessible, though, I think. I love the burn timer in KSP2. This is me getting onto maneuver nodes here just quickly. And I love the Kerbal's audio cues as well. Before you launch your rocket or when a maneuver node is coming up, they will you'll get mission control actually shout out some Kerbal gibberish when it's about, just to give you that warning that you're about to do a maneuver node or the time to the maneuver node is coming up.
Or the transfer between a sphere of influence.
Yes. Aha. Now on the sphere of influences, I did encounter this maneuver node bug that everyone is talking about.
Boy.
So on both machines, when I was doing the maneuver node and intercept for the moon, I spent a bit of time on the maneuver node, set it all up perfectly, and then when the burn was done and I was on my way to the moon just flew straight on by. I didn't even skim the sphere of influence. However, in the maneuver node setup, it was in fact, on the second machine, I set it up to impact the moon straight away from Kerbin, leaving Kerbin's orbit to the moon, just smacking it straight in the face. However, as I moved away from Kerbin, it just all disappeared. I kept it. I couldn't be bothered to do the maneuver node again, so I just kept circling around until it eventually got an intercept to the moon. It was about 20 orbits or so before I got an intercept naturally. But yes, that maneuver node bug is still there, which I can understand now. The frustration for people trying to do interplanetary maneuver nodes when they spend all that time setting it up to hit that sphere of influence to the other body, and when you've actually completed the burn, there's nothing there.
It's dead. Yeah,
it's dead.
It's dead, Jim.
You are not going to Juna today. No. But other than that, it was I had good fun. I will go back and test the first release just to see the differences. Actually, I think that'll be an interesting measure.
Yeah, hopefully
they can wrap that bug up in patch 3. Speaking of which, you have something noted here. What do we know about patch 3 before we move on?
Well, there's a few things. There's not much, actually. I lied. There's not much at all.
Well,
they did say,
you built it up, Hacky. Come on.
They did say they're going to slow the. This is when it's late at night and I lose my train of thought. Well, I don't want to call them bug fixes. Improvements, stability fixes. That's what I was trying to find.
Optimizations,
stability fixes. They're going to slow down on this now because although they will release, they said updates before the first content release, which will be science mode. They will release a few more performance improvements and stability fixes. But they are now moving their team more towards the development of the content rather than squashing bugs.
I mean, they've already squashed a ton of bugs as is.
They have, and we read out some stats in the last episode.
Okay.
They will continue to do that. They said releases, so at least 2 more. They are working on stuff, which is even though it's better on both the plane and the rocket, I still had the SAS problems where it's just moved about all over the place. And then with the science mode will come the heat, science and thermal. I think that'll be the first big content release.
That'd be a good big first release for that.
It will. But the big one, there's two things to mention about patch 3 at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be some new parts, which will include engines. And the engines will be vacuum rated. So at the moment,
Cool.
it's that there's engines that are a bit of a compromise between atmospheric and vacuum performance. These ones will be specific for vacuum. They will be bringing out radiators, but the radiators will be procedural, like the wings.
I read that. I'm looking forward to seeing how they tackle that.
Yeah. So there's some good videos out there of them
It's
teasing
real
it.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be able to make the radiators as big and small, or as oblong or stubby or wide as you like, just like procedural wings. It'll be interesting to know if they do this for solar panels eventually. My gut feeling at the moment is they won't, because
I think they probably will, right?
They've
For the
got
simple
quite a-
reason that, right, solar panels are effectively a radiator, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's
So-
electrons around. Yeah,
Yeah. So why wouldn't you do that for the solar panels as well? Like,
yeah,
you could make some pretty cool craft with them being that way as well, and I think that's that's like caps lock is the highway to cool. It's same thing. Like
Yeah.
procedural panels are the highway to cool.
it'd be interesting to see if they do that or not. But the other big one, which will be in an update in patch 3.
Mm-hmm.
So these radiators and the engines will be patch 3. Also in patch 3 will be Planet Shine, or their version of it.
I just saw their teaser for that.
Did you?
It looks so good.
So for those that are unfamiliar, in KSP 1 there was a mod called Planet Shine, and what that did was your craft orbiting around Kerbin or Juna or Eve, the glow of the planet would be reflected off of the craft. So if you're around Kerbin, you'd have a blue hue on the craft, Juna red, Eve purple, and so on. That will be incorporated into KSP 2 as a baseline feature. Go on, Mater.
And here's the thing about it. With Planet Shine, it only worked on craft.
Yes.
In this,
Not this one.
their teaser showed jewel shine on the surface of Lathe
At night.
at night. Yes.
So on
Okay,
Lathe,
that's cool.
Right?
there was a green glow because of the jewel on the night side of Lathe because of the jewel green.
If they pull that off, hats off to them.
They already have by the looks of the
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they're teaser images, right? Like it might turn out to be
Well, let's just say
so
pretty.
poorly optimized that the game just crashes. So,
Well.
it just may not end up getting there. But if they've pulled it off to the point that it actually works on a PC with a 1070 in it at like 20 frames per second, like as we've been talking about, that's not bad. It's good. I'm
Yeah.
into that.
Well, the scatterer feature that came in patch 2
Oh,
the
Yeah.
1070
so good.
seemed to be running that fine. To be honest, I forgot about it, that it was there. And I think I was worried last time when we recorded that could be quite a performance hog because Scatterer, the mod in KSP
Scatterer is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scatter's a
Not
Hummer.
in KSP 2 as a standard feature. So I think the optimizer, although this game is being fixed very, very quickly. And the optimization is probably the biggest improvement from the first release. And we're only on the third release, aren't we? Patch 2 is the third release of this game. And they've managed to put Scatterer in it and improve performance. It performs better with Scatterer in this release than Patch 1 did without it.
It really does. And speaking of optimizations,
So before we move on, Private Division, you're setting the bar pretty high straight out the gate. So watch yourselves, boys.
without a doubt. Well, speaking of optimizations, Kerbal 2 is not the only thing that needs optimizations in this real world. Because we're moving on to real space, and the big letterhead of all this in the last couple weeks is It needs optimization.
OMG, WTF, BBQ, Starship.
Starship.
Kaboom, kaboom.
Yeah, Starship. I was 5 miles from that thing. It felt like I was getting punched in the chest repeatedly.
From 5 miles away.
From 5 miles away. It wasn't as crackly or... Now, hear me out. It wasn't as crackly or as loud as SLS was, but it had more punch to it.
Well, SLS has a solid boosters as well, doesn't it?
You can hear and feel the power in SLS. You just really feel the power with Starship. But don't get me wrong, it was still loud.
Can we just open up this by saying, or making out the point that Starship is the biggest and most powerful rocket ever to launch?
Yep, it is.
In the world so far.
And the smallest launch pad I've ever seen.
It's about to be a lot smaller if you ask me, because, oh, God, they dug a crater with that thing.
Was that the launch of the rocket? Just the launch that caused that?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't... Okay, I saw it and I thought, why have they trashed it? Or did Starship crash back into it?
All right,
Just
all right.
Nope,
So,
it was just the
mate,
launch.
it was just the launch. Mater, I'm going to steal a bit of your thunder here. Have you seen the footage that shows all of the debris flying into the ocean?
For the listeners at home, mate is holding up his camera that was recording the launch of
Yeah.
Starship, and
Yep.
And what'd you
the
say?
lens is smashed.
1,400 meters or something?
1,200 feet, whatever that. I think it's like
1,200 feet away.
600 meters or something like that, roughly, give or take.
That's a fair way away.
Yeah.
But Aki, check out the footage of the big splashes in the ocean of debris flying out from underneath that rocket. What?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, no.
I'll get you a link after the
1,200
episode.
feet in meters is 365 meters.
365. Okay. Thank you.
So just short of half a kilometer.
Yeah. So the ocean, keep in mind, is about, or well, the Gulf of Mexico is about 600. No, it's about 2,000 feet. So whatever that works out into meters, it's about 2,000 feet from the launch mount. And they were sending multi-ton chunks of concrete flying.
Multi-ton.
I'm not kidding. Multi-ton chunks of concrete flying into the water a fair ways from the beach.
Wow.
It's a
was-
long way out.
I'll put it this way. I have not been able to verify the truth to this claim, but one of my fellow media colleagues out there told me they threw a 20-ton chunk of concrete higher than the tower.
20 tons.
Yes. And you can
Wow.
see this slab of concrete flying up next to the stack in certain angles of the launch.
I've just shared with you guys via our conversation here. I know, sorry, Mater, it's going to be a bit of a pain in the butt, but this is footage of the debris.
Yep.
Being thrown out to the ocean.
Actually, I can pull this up.
It's insane footage. Absolutely insane footage.
Oh, wow. It's
Here,
like
I'll pull this
when
up.
kids throw gravel into a pond, it's like that, but these aren't gravel. These are chunks of concrete.
This is chunks of concrete that could potentially be the size of cars.
Oh, easily.
The sound of it as well, even through the headset.
For those watching
Yeah.
the video, it's or listening at home, I now have it up on the video, and you can see how large the splashes offshore are.
Yeah, you might want to mute that particular video while
I've got
showing that.
the output muted. We're good.
Oh, good. Yeah, because wow.
Yeah, and so like I mentioned, I was media out there for the launch, and my cameras were set up in that 1,200 foot at that 1,200 foot mark.
Wow.
This photo is the I'm going to dare to say I think I won the remote camera lottery, because you can
did.
see
Yeah.
you can see the just a massive amount of debris flying around.
And in fact, for listeners at home, I know this is terrible for an audio podcast, but I will put the links in the description
Yes, thank
of
you.
this episode, so you can see what we're talking about if you're interested.
And
But it's
for
Mate's capture of Starship launching.
yes, for those listening, I'm going to pull up the GIF I made of the launch of all the frames my camera got before it got whacked by concrete.
It's like something out of a film. That when I saw that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that shot I pulled up here, it broke my Twitter notifications. I'll just put it that way. It's
There was a
over
lot of
6,700
responses.
likes now. I don't know what happened.
It's an incredible shot. That's what happened.
It's an
Yeah.
amazing shot.
It's
It really
an
is.
amazing shot. What do you mean I don't know what happened? I bet other people have used it to get clicks themselves.
You know what?
I wonder
there's
how
only
many-
one thing. There's only one thing that would have made that photo better, and it would have been exactly that shot with the debris that broke the camera in the middle of the lens.
Oh, I wish I could
would
have caught
been
that.
The perfect shot.
I wish I
That's
could have caught that.
brilliant. That is the one thing that would have made it better.
You're not
And
wrong.
how many people do you think have got that as their desktop background or their phone background now? There's
Oh,
going to be a
God,
lot.
I hadn't
few.
thought of that.
Maybe heaps.
Mm.
I had not thought of that.
It's an amazing picture.
Thank you.
So,
It-
just on the note of that, did you hear that SpaceX is actually asking people to report the debris
Yes.
from the test flight?
Yeah, if
Find
any
out how
debris
far it
washes
got.
up on shore, it is asked that you report it to. I don't have the information pulled up, but they ask that you report it so they can go and claim it because technically it's still their property. Don't
Well,
keep the
mhm.
tiles.
It may have toxic chemicals on it too. I mean,
That's
let's-
true. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. You don't necessarily want to touch that and cause damage to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People don't think about that, but you know,
And given
It's-
where that thing popped, that stuff's gonna be washing up all across the Gulf.
Well, I was a bit confused when I first saw this because I heard that it crashed. I was at work at the time, I think, and some mates were pulling up the videos because they
I
were
was
cheering
asleep. My
when it
wife woke me
exploded.
up. My wife woke me up and went, "So Starship exploded." And I went, "What?" Got out of bed, grabbed the phone. Like, I gotta watch this. What happened?
But everyone was cheering, and I
Sorry.
was confused as to why they were cheering. But actually, anything past the tower, launching past the tower, was a success. Just launching the thing was the mission, and anything after that was a bonus. But they always knew. Apparently, they always you'll be able to tell me this, mate. They always knew that it was going to crash. They always knew that because it was old. As far as Starship and SpaceX was concerned, it was old tech. It wasn't going to function properly. So the
So,
fact that it got as far as it did was a huge achievement.
oh yeah. So the media site for that SpaceX offered or put up for us in the media was literally right next to where the SpaceX employees were posted up. They had to walk past us to go to their spot. Some of the conversations I heard as they walked past, that I recall one was saying was just like, I just hope it makes it past the tower.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anything after the tower was a bonus.
And honestly, given the amount of concrete and just debris they were throwing up, I don't think there was any way that wasn't launching after they ignited the engines.
Did they know it was going to obliterate the launch pad like that?
I don't think they expected it to do what it did, but once they saw what was happening, I think they had to commit, otherwise it was going to blow up on the pad.
The thing is, it did that much damage, but like 1/3 of the engines weren't even running. Didn't even light up.
So once it took off, 2 engines were out, one in the outer ring, and then one of the ones in the middle. As
Okay.
it ascended, the other, I think it was either 4 or 6. I don't remember the exact number.
There was 3 others. I think it was 5 engines in total that weren't working.
It was either 6 or 8, so it's probably 6 then.
Yeah.
They sequentially went out as the stack ascended, and yeah, and then the hydraulic power units, they kind of just exploded.
Because when it launched, it started going sideways straight away, didn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much.
So, from
Oh,
what I
no.
understand, that was an intentional move to get it the hell away from the tower.
Was it?
That is from what I understand. Yes.
So a lot of these things that look like they were failures actually were very much planned.
Or just
that was.
intentional. They might not have been planned, but they were intentionally
Or
done.
they were reactive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the whole stack starting to, canter to the side and then start its Kerbal flip. I don't believe that was intentional. No matter what.
At that point, I thought this is definitely not how it's supposed to go.
When it's death spiraling, it starts its death spiral, and I'm just giggling. It's like, this is Kerbal.
Extremely familiar.
Oh my god, it's Kerbal IRL.
That was the most Kerbal thing I have ever seen in person, and it was incredible.
I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised it stayed intact for as long as it did.
We
Actually,
all
You think
were
you got
shocked.
That much height and mass and size, and it. You know when the camera was looking at the second stage engine, the
Yes,
Starship
you could see it
engines.
flexing.
Yeah, but I expected it to do more flexing.
Right.
I expected it just to rip apart or something,
Mhm.
but it was pretty rigid.
It was.
It's the
shocking.
inbuilt Kraken drive. That's what the
Wobble, 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 wobble.
Yeah. So yeah, Starship. That was incredible. And according to Elon, they're expecting only 1 to 2 months till the next flight. Yeah, bull.
they got to get FAA approval.
They have to catch up because, they're a little bit behind of their mandatory 2 launches per week for 2022, or they're going to go bankrupt.
Right?
Yeah,
As he said
right.
in 2021. If we don't get 2 launches per week in 2022, we're going to go bankrupt. And you've launched 1 in the first half of 2023 and it blew up. Just saying. Just saying.
But yeah, I mean, that 1 to 2 month estimate, I'm just laughing at that because, oh my god, that launch pad looks like a bomb went off.
Yeah.
When we got there for
yeah.
camera pickup, it's like a war zone. There's huge chunks of concrete everywhere. The fences are mangled. The gates on the ground.
Don't suppose you took a small piece of concrete as a souvenir.
I meant to, but I forgot to. I have
You
a
got your
friend
cameras.
all in the media who I asked him if he could maybe save me a piece, and he said maybe. So next time in Florida, I'm going to ask him and bug him. Yeah, and the tank farm.
I was going to say the tanks. That was the next thing. The tanks. Oh my god.
Driving in, look, the pictures don't do it justice. Don't do it justice. Driving in, they look like you took a giant baseball bat or shotgun to them.
And these are massive objects.
I mean, they're literally Starship-sized tanks inside of shells. It's insane.
And they are mangled.
What
Hey,
are those tanks?
It's the fuel and oxidizer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's they're the LOX and methane tanks.
Yeah.
Were they just in storage somewhere, were they?
No, these are right next to the pad.
Yeah, I don't know what prompted them to think that was a good idea, but
Big butter boom.
yeah, they're lucky that didn't blow
they're
up.
just lucky.
At least it was all lovely and dramatic.
Yeah, we had to actually
Its
wait.
launch.
We had to wait like 2 days after the launch to go get our cameras, and I'm pretty sure that was due to one of those tanks leaking.
No.
Great.
Because there was word that one of those tanks was leaking. But I mean, I could go on forever about Starship, but we've only got so much time here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're all really nerding out right now because wow, it was an event.
That is a good way to put it. But before we move on our way through, well, let's keep on moving through real space here, because yesterday on April 28th, April 28th, we had a Falcon 9 launch out of Florida for the O3B Empower mission. What was special about that is it was supposed to be like an hour and some change before Falcon Heavy, but we're counting down Falcon Heavy. T-minus 59 seconds. Hold. Now we're looking at tomorrow for that. So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll talk about it in the next
Yay.
episode. On the ULA.
Sorry, two launches within 2 hours. Like that would be huge.
It was going to be the quickest turnaround on the Cape since Gemini and Aegina.
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't remember the exact Gemini mission. I'd have to look that up and double check it. I'll check that for the next episode, but that was a 97-minute turnaround. This would have been like 117 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. But
to continue.
yes. On the ULA side of things, Delta 4 Heavy had a valve issue pop up, so they have to replace that, and we're just waiting for them to give it a new launch date. And the reason I wanted to talk about Delta 4 is, well, one, it's Delta 4, and two, it's the second to last one that will be flying. We are now looking at net May for that, so if I'm not here for an episode in May, you know why. I'm not missing Delta 4 if I can help it.
Yep. Rip Delta 4.
But it means Vulcan is going to be coming around the corner soon, hopefully. We're just waiting on the flight readiness fire for that, but I'm sure that's still pending after the the test tank issue that they had. Yeah, that one could have gone better, but
yeah.
Word is that was only GSC leaks. I haven't been able to confirm this yet, but if it was only GSC side, that's a lot better than the tank itself popping.
Still, a leak's a leak, right?
Indeed. But yeah, that's about all I had to talk about for Real Space. And Aki, I see you wanted to talk about something real quick here.
When are you going to talk about your interview?
Oh, right. Sorry, I completely skipped over that. My bad.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Yes.
I was waiting for that too.
Sorry, I got distracted by Starship.
Because I want to search the interview audio in at this point as well.
Yes. So thank you for reminding me. Because after the last episode that I was actually here for, which was episode 4, not 5 like I put in the title, I'm a dum-dum. Couple days later, I ended up driving to Houston. Actually, it was literally the next day, because that Monday was the announcement for the Artemis 2 crew, which we got that announced. I was there to cover it as media for Space Scout and here for the podcast, obviously. Plug. Insert your plugs now. But
insert plugs.
Oh my God.
There's a joke. There's a joke. There's multiple. You're all welcome.
Anyway.
It's far too early in the morning.
Or late, as the case may be.
Indeed.
Yeah, true.
Indeed. But yes, the crew for Artemis 2 was announced. So the next crew that will be going to the moon consists of Mission Commander Reed Wiseman, Mission Pilot Victor Glover, Mission Specialist 1 Christina Koch, and Mission Specialist 2 Jeremy Hansen, the first Canadian that will be going to the sphere of influence of the moon.
Crazy. Nice. That's cool.
And because I was there as media for the event, I was granted a very short interview with the mission pilot, Victor Glover. So, Aki, if you would like to insert that audio, get ready to, because I worked with my Space Scout team members, and we came up with a question for Victor. And that question was, if he could travel back in time to talk to the crew of Apollo 17, what would he ask them, and what would he tell them about our current space program? And he gave a very, very deep and insightful answer, just off the cuff. It was really, really impressive.
And for the edited, I'll put the audio in now. But
there you go.
Having listened to that, I'm disappointed for 2 reasons.
Oh, really?
First of all, you didn't take your train whistle.
Okay, all right. I should have taken the whistle.
You should have taken that. And second of all, why did you not ask him if he listened to Boosters and Space Tape?
Drat,
well,
I should have.
I'm pretty sure we know the answer to that one. So,
see, there's this discoverability issue that has impeded us for a number of years. Aki.
All right. Look, it's on me. I should have asked him that, but I mean, realistically, I think I could have gotten away with the whistle because my friend
if
who
he
was
had turned around and said, "Well, I googled Kerbal Space Program podcast, but nothing came up."
Well,
and that would be on me. Touche.
Like I was saying, I could have probably gotten away with the whistle just because my friend who was also as media there, we got scheduled for the same interview. He asked Victor to hold and pose with an Estes model of SLS, and he did it with the biggest smile on his face.
That's amazing.
I have that photo. I need to check if my friend's good with me posting it now, because that was just fantastic.
You know what? You should have taken a train whistle and given it to him, and just say, just once, I want to see you do this on camera in the rocket. Like, doesn't matter. Just to irritate everyone. Toot toot. Done. That's it. You do that, and I'm happy.
Is he Artemis 2 or Artemis 3, Matoro?
Space tape
Artemis 2.
Okay.
We have not had the crew for Artemis 3 announced yet, and I personally wouldn't expect that until Artemis 2 returns.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was on the right page.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've been doing their media tours since, so.
When? Oh, sorry.
What's up, Hacky?
No, it's all right. So I was going to ask questions, but...
No, I mean, I'm done. What you got?
No, because Red's going to talk about it.
Oh.
I am?
Oh.
Yes, in a Red.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
I'll edit this bit out.
Well, before we scoot on then, do you want to talk about Voyager 2 real quick?
Well, it's just a nice little fact, actually. For something I didn't realise, was that Voyager 2... Voyager 1 is the most distant man-made object to date.
Yes.
Human-made object, as we should say these days. Pioneer 10 is the second most distant object. Until, around about some point this month or next, Voyager 2 will overtake Pioneer 10. I thought that Voyager 2 was the second most distant object, next to Voyager 1. But no, Pioneer 10 is still holding on to that position until over the next few days. And just to give it a bit better context, Voyager 1 is just shy of 160 AUs away from the sun.
That's a hot minute.
Which is just shy of 15 billion miles. I say that as if anyone's got any comprehension of those distances, but
that's a long distance.
Big number hurt brain.
Distance.
No, you're measuring in billions, right? Like,
yeah.
Aki, when you and I did that drive over to Skylab,
that was about a billion miles, wasn't it?
It felt like a billion miles. It wasn't, though. It was like 3,000
kilometers at that.
Kilometers, like, and miles is what, 2.24 or something like that. 2.4 times.
2.4 kilometers. Sorry, no, it's like 1.8 kilometers to a mile, something like that.
Yeah, 1.8, right? So even if we halve that, that's like 1,600 miles.
Aren't freedom units great?
Freedom units are wonderful.
Freedom!
But at the moment, Pioneer 10 is the second most distant object. Voyager, to give you an idea of the speed differences as well, Voyager 1 overtook Pioneer 10 in... I have no notes. 1998.
Oh, it's but a wee lad then.
Voyager 1 overtook Pioneer 10 in February 1998. Voyager 2 is only overtaking Pioneer 10 now.
That's crazy.
Quite the neck and neck race, isn't it?
Voyager 1 is traveling at 38,000 miles per hour, whereas Voyager 2 is at 34.4 thousand miles per hour.
These numbers are just hard to comprehend.
They are hard to comprehend, so I won't dwell on them too much. But yeah, just a nice little thing there. Yeah, Pioneer 10, which hasn't functioned for a long time. But the two Voyagers are still functioning after 45 years in their mission.
That's impressive.
They're still, yeah, it is impressive. They are still functioning probes, taking measurements and sending them back. But on that as well, in a previous episode, not that long ago, we spoke about the naked people. Remember? On the plaque.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
I recall.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Well, I need to correct myself because the Voyagers, I think we said it was the Voyagers that had that plaque. It's the Pioneers that have that plaque.
Oh.
The Voyagers have the gold records.
That's right.
Yeah. So that parent in Florida or wherever it was, if they did go to the Voyagers, to recall them to take down the plaque. It'd be a bit awkward because the Voyagers aren't wearing them. Wrong spacecraft. It's the Pioneers that have that plaque.
Vija.
Vija.
All right, before we get into any Star Trek hole here, I'm gonna stop that before it starts.
I'm not going to get into a hole, but I'm going to say if you haven't seen the last episode of Star Trek Picard, you need to because it's
I
amazing.
haven't seen any episodes of Star Trek Picard, so shush.
I
Time for
will,
Red
I
Ed.
will shush. I will shush. But Red.
I don't have access. Shush.
Oh, I'm going to get you access. It's happening. Red Ed!
It's Red Ed time.
Ah.
You're welcome. I'm saving you.
No.
Just take it away.
Angry
Stop
Red.
Stop it. Just stop it.
Stop it.
That's some great sound files, Brad. Thank you.
Ah. Anyway, so in the Red Ed corner, I wanted to trail off of what Matoro was talking about with Starship, which is what brought me to the whole we need to launch 2 a week in 2022 or we're going to go bankrupt and all of that. Just a reminder about Artemis 3, which is supposed to use one of these wonderful starships as a landing device from the orbit of the moon to the surface of the moon and back.
Oh.
Go into orbit, be refueled in orbit, fly over to the moon and wait for it. Well, to build the refueling station and then to fuel the refueling station, you need 5 launches of those things to get one full refuel. So you're talking about, and that doesn't count the station itself. So by rough guesstimates, you're going to need a minimum of 15 to 20 dedicated launches to be ready in 2025. And we have yet to have one successful launch of Starship. So who here thinks that Artemis 3 is going to end up being delayed even further?
You want my bet? I think Blue Origin's gonna take it.
You think
Oh.
I think Blue Origin's gonna get that contract and take it.
Really?
I think so.
Because I got to say, they're not doing really hot right now with Starship. They were putting a lot of eggs in that basket. And I know you're like, oh, well, it was old stuff. Yeah, but the reason it was old stuff is because they couldn't get enough of the new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it was old stuff because they had it lying around. It was old stuff because they can't get enough of the new stuff to build it right. So this is a problem. You can't launch 2 a week when you have one that was built with old stuff at best.
Mm-hmm.
So if they really want to make this a go, they've got to really scale up and get their act together. And when Elon's spending more time worrying about Twitter than he is about so many other things, I just don't know. I just don't know. I feel like he's sort of lost the attention of where his attention needs to be. And I feel like SpaceX is having trouble.
I mean, look, I think we've been saying that for a while, to be honest. Like and I think going back to what you said before, Red, about you know, the 2 launches every week, you know, that was kind of the sign right there. It's just, oh, you're going to go broke if you don't do it that quick. Doing things fast leads to errors.
Yep.
Look at the Martian.
Yeah. Exactly. Prime example.
Skip the inspections.
Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert.
I wasn't being.
I wasn't gonna spoiler alert, but you know, just yeah. If you haven't seen The Martian by now, where the hell have you been?
Read the book. There's so much more in the book.
Yeah, if you listen to this podcast,
Yeah, the book's better.
you must have watched The Martian.
Yeah, prerequisite for anyone. Go watch The Martian. This is the part where I say I've never actually seen The Martian.
You.
And this is also
what?
the part where I say I've never seen Interstellar.
Yeah, that one I get. But the Martian.
Like I've heard the soundtrack. I know, right? Like as much as I love The Expanse and how much the real science strums my jubblies, I have not watched The Martian.
That's one of my films that I go back. You have the small collection of films you just keep going back to and watching over and over and over again.
You know what's hilarious about this? You know how we keep referring to the episode of this podcast we did about New Horizons?
Yes.
At that point, someone gave me a WTF, why have you not seen The Martian? Now it's a matter of principle.
Well, you're actively avoiding this now.
Actively avoiding this. I mean, it was even on TV like 6 months ago, and I went, haven't seen it, not going to see it, no.
But it's such a good film.
Well,
The book's even
I
better than
know.
the book normally is.
I'm sure we could go
Read
on
the book
about
as
this
well.
for quite a bit, but before we
could, we
hijack
could.
Red Ed away from Red,
No, actually, the whole thing was about how Artemis 3 has changed over the years. How they keep changing the development. It was supposed to originally rendezvous with Gateway, and then they abandoned that for Orion and HLS system, separate from the Gateway. Then they ended up delaying it again. It was supposed to launch in April 2025, and they ended up delaying it. Actually, it was supposed to launch in 2024, and they ended up delaying it to April 2025 because of the problem with getting the spacesuits ready. And then it's been delayed again to 2025. And as of now, it's scheduled for December of 2025. So it's not happening anytime soon. We're going back to the moon. Well, at this point, I'm going to be dead before we get there. So, this is what I always said. People are like, we're going to go to Mars. We haven't been able to get back to the moon yet, guys. Let's not,
Starship
if
was originally developed to go to Mars as well, wasn't it? That was its original.
but-
And you don't really hear about that anymore.
Well, that if they can't even get one off the ground, without it blowing up. I'm
Or destroy
sorry.
the
I
launch pad.
understand that they're like, oh, it got off the ground, so that was a great success because we had to use old parts. Well, you had only downgraded your expectations because you couldn't get the new parts, and you couldn't get the new parts because you're having manufacturing issues. Let's be serious. In a perfect world, your expectations would have been a flawless flight because you had the stuff. But you didn't have the stuff because you're having trouble. And let's just be a little realistic about that is all I'm saying.
Yep.
Totally fair about being realistic. Look, their greatest achievement, they launched a car into space.
I forgot about that. Yeah, Tesla.
Yay! What's
Still
an
floating
electric
around
car
out there,
going to
isn't
do?
it?
Oh, who knows? All the paint stripped off it and everything from the solar radiation. And that's all we really know. And there's not much left of the driver. But
They've got to be tracking it though, haven't they? I just
No.
wonder where it is now.
they lost all the tracking.
have you not seen
They
Where's
lost
the
it.
Roadster.com?
No, I have not.
It's literally.
I want to know more.
Go to where'stheroadster.com. It's great. It just shows its location and where it is in the solar system.
Roughly.
Approximate.
Roughly, yeah.
I
Yeah.
can Google it right now.
But
Where's the roaster? Where's the roaster? Where's the roadster?
where is the roadster.com? I believe that is it, if I remember right. But
Where is it?
yeah, I agree with you, Red. They definitely, both SpaceX and NASA have, they put way too many eggs into one basket with the hopes of Starship.
Yeah, the problem is the engines.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be clear. The problem is the engines.
They're too unreliable.
They're too unreliable, and more importantly, there's too high a failure rate in manufacturing them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real problem, is that not enough of them are being made that are fully functional.
Mm-hmm.
So
I will say this. I would have loved to have seen how that flight would have gone if they weren't throwing debris up into the engine bay at liftoff.
Is that
well,
what knocked out some of the
another
engines?
issue.
Oh, yeah, that is another issue, without a doubt. And I don't think it's been confirmed, Aki, but it would not surprise me because two of the engine bells were literally missing their bells.
Okay, so it's probably a good bet that
At least two of them
That's
were
what
missing their
happened.
bells. So, yeah,
and they don't work very well without the bells.
no. And then it just slowly degraded from there, especially once the hydraulic power units failed. But from what I
And
understand,
fun fact as well, I think they proved on Apollo 13
Mhm.
they didn't fire the service module engine in case it was damaged, and it turned out they think that it was actually damaged. And if the engine bell had taken a dink from the explosion, and that would have been enough to make the spaceship completely uncontrollable. So the engine bells are very
Crazy.
important parts of the whole system.
very.
Mm.
Mm.
But
So
yeah,
they made a good call on that.
But that's I felt like with the explosion of Starship, we needed to take another look at Artemis.
oh yeah.
That was kind of why I wanted to run that part of the Ed corner here.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, without a doubt, SLS. I mean, a lot of people thought SLS was going to be the bottleneck for this program. No.
yeah, exactly.
So what is the roadmap for Artemis? Has anyone got that in front of them?
Oh shoot.
Well, I've got Artemis 3 in front of me, but I don't have the whole roadmap.
And what's Artemis 3 mission?
That's the actual first landing mission
Mm-hmm.
With people.
Yes.
with people. Yeah, yeah.
They're going straight to that.
No, Artemis 2's next.
No, but Artemis 2 is just to orbit the moon, isn't it?
Yes, first they orbit, then they land.
And then they land.
Mhm.
Well, I just wonder if it would mirror the Apollo program in any way, because they did almost a dummy landing with Apollo 10.
They're not doing
didn't
that.
they? Straight to the moon.
Going straight to it.
Mm.
To the moon, Alice.
Yeah. So what they're going to do with Artemis 2 is they're going to do the far slingshot around the moon and
Yeah.
come back. They're going to go. I think it's like something like 6,000 miles away from the surface on the far side, and then they're going to swing back to Earth. That'll be the conclusion of Artemis 2, and then Artemis 3 eventually, hopefully,
Will be the landing.
will be the landing. Yes.
Mm,
And
okay.
that's projected for 2025 at the moment.
At the moment, but I mean, let's be realistic. It's probably 26 or 27 at this rate, at the very least.
Okay.
The hardware for the launch vehicle, it'll be ready. It's going to come down to the landing system.
Which is supposed to be at this point Starship.
And yep. And like I
Yeah.
said, I don't think Starship's going to hold that contract. I can't see it. It's not going to be ready in time.
So Starship, the Mars spacecraft, essentially,
Mhm.
that's supposed to land on the moon.
Yes.
How do they get out? That's a long way down.
There's a door, and then
Is it-
there's supposed to be like an elevator.
An elevator.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, down the center.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, down the
An
center.
elevator.
Come out between the engines.
No, it comes out the side on the center line and just goes.
You know, if they were any fun, they'd have one of those helter-skelter slides going all the way down to the bottom. Whee! Getting up to the future problem, but coming down is what it's all about.
But it would be really, really slow because moon gravity.
Hey, grease it up.
Yeah, they'd have to grease it up. Exactly.
My issue with the elevator is if it breaks, what are you gonna do?
Oh, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Like at least I'm sure like Blue Origin's lander that they have in the works, or oh god, what was the other? Dynetics, I think, is the other team.
That's a big spaceship to land on the moon, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like overkill.
And the
Well,
only
it is
reason,
overkill. That's not what it's designed for, but they were trying to do it so they could make money.
yeah, that's
Sure.
the
Yeah,
only reason
right.
Starship was chosen as the initial HLS system, is because it was touted as the cheapest.
Of course it is.
And reason it was the cheapest is because they were willing. SpaceX was willing to basically do it at cost in order to pay for some of this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
But it seems like at least there's some support from the internally in the government, at the very least, because we have this competition coming up for the second HLS system, which I have no idea when that's supposed to happen, but It's got to be sometime soon this year. They're going to hold the competition for it, and it's going to be. I know Blue Origin's one of them. That's why I keep saying Blue Origin, and I think the other one is Dynetics, but I'd have to look up the details.
Blue Origin seems to have more of the experience per se.
And here's the thing, Blue. Another reason I keep saying this is Blue's first launch on New Glenn is going to be a lunar lander test bed.
Yeah. Well.
Huh.
Yeah. It's. I see Starship just seems too much overkill.
Mm-hmm.
It's too far fetched.
Landing. Blue Origin's very. I don't want to use the word grounded. It just doesn't seem appropriate. But you know what I mean? They're a lot more realistic and sensible in their approach.
Now,
Starship has a completely different mission. It's just
we don't know much of what Blue has going on behind closed doors because they're very secretive about things. But from what I've heard from friends and other people that have toured their factory at the Cape,
they've got some good kit.
Things
there.
are on
Yeah.
lock.
Yep.
But
it'll be interesting.
unless
It'll
we
be
have,
one of those where they just suddenly pop up out the ground, won't they? And say,
I think it's
we
going to
have
be
this."
that way.
Yeah.
What's your speculation, Red?
On?
Well, where do you reckon it's going to go from here?
The moon lander.
Do you reckon Blue is going to take it?
No, I don't think Blue's going to take it. I think that it will be delayed till at least 2030.
I can see that too.
I'm more down that angle, honestly. I agree with you there.
And I think that eventually, either SpaceX is going to end up putting something together that's not Starship to make it work. They're going to fix their manufacturing issues, or NASA's going to have to develop their own. One of those three things is going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think they're going to change. I do think that there's a significant possibility that because of how long it's taking and all of the delays, that the budget priorities will be swapped around again, and the whole project will be shelved in favor of something else, which will ruin everything. And it may not happen in my lifetime because of that.
What's the plan once they're on the moon? Are they intending for a long stay? Do we have any of these details?
We do. So the current plan is that they would have 4 crews. 2 are go to the surface of the moon for a week, and 2 stay in orbit. The 2 on the surface will do 4 spacewalks on the moon's surface, doing a variety of scientific observations, including sampling water ice, as this will be a South Pole landing. So so before the Artemis 3 landing, some additional equipment will be pre-positioned on the surface, including an unpressurized rover for them to drive around. And the rover will have the ability to be controlled remotely as well. And they are planning on doing several short forays into permanently shadowed regions to determine exactly what's there.
Well,
they know there's
exciting.
water ice there. They just don't know all the details.
So this is a worthwhile mission. It's not just a stunt or anything like that. There is a genuine reason and purpose for this, which is
Yes, we need to sample the geology at these areas. We need to find out about the water in these areas. There's a lot of things we don't know about these areas. Now, we could do some of it with rovers and things like that, but if we're going to colonize and or build a serious refueling / anything on the moon, A, we need to build up the technology by sending people, and B, we need the water. So that's why we're going to the South Pole, is to go see just how good this water is.
And my point of mentioning this as well is just that this is harder to turn off. If we were doing what the Apollos had done, they were like, well, we've done it really. This is all just a bit of a stunt, so we're not going to carry on. But with this, it's a good reason to go. Yeah,
but they could turn it off just as easily.
They can, but it's not just a stunt. Is my point. There is a good reason for this.
Well, yes, if you're planning on doing long-term stuff, there's a good reason for it.
Yeah, yeah, that's promising. At least.
But that's sort of the whole point, is that, you know,
So
this is and then they, you know, go back up, get back into orbit, redock, and go back home. You know.
yeah, no, that's okay. I just wonder, because the lunar module from the Apollo mission worked extremely well. I don't think there was a time when any of them failed. In fact, they all went above and beyond, especially in the case of Apollo 13. So, you know, that technology is already proven and worked. Why don't they do something similar to that? But if they got long stays, you know, periods of weeks.
I was going to say, you can't really stay for a week.
No, you can't.
In those kinds of
that was what I
modules.
was wondering about. That's why I wondered
Yeah.
about the plan. Yeah, you need almost a proper base.
Yep.
A craft that can double up as a decent base.
And that's what Gateway
And
and the
habitat.
surface outpost, eventual surface outpost, will serve the purpose of.
Yeah.
But before, I mean, we could keep going on this, but we're running a bit long today, so unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to cut that conversation short, but we can pick this back
that's
up in a future episode, I'm sure. It's a loaded topic.
I know, but I just figured we really should mention some of these things after the Starship incident, on how even one fail of Starship here may push the entire Artemis program back.
Oh, yeah. No, and it's been a great discussion, too, so thank you for bringing it up, Red.
Sure. Okay, next.
But on that note, oh, God, here we go. It's time for everybody's favorite.
Talking about Helter Skelter rides.
That's not science, Digi.
Talking about science. Yeah. The real science right here. Hey, guys. We were talking about freedom units earlier, right? I think look, this is just something that came to mind through the week. In the context of that, who gave horses power, and how do we take that power back?
I don't think you can.
You can't
You
take
fight the horse. You go up to a horse and fight it for the power.
Is this a horse-sized duck question, or duck-sized horses?
Digi, that's nay impossible to answer.
Hey. I got the feeling you're forcing around a bit here.
All right. That's very nice. I like it. So look, why is there only a whole kit and caboodle? Why can't I get a half kit and caboodle?
That'd just be a kit.
Or a caboodle.
Or a caboodle. You can, you just can't have both.
you can't have both.
Don't be
Right.
crazy
This
now.
reminds me of the George Carlin skit where he says fine and dandy, fine and dandy. I've never been fine and dandy. I was fine and dandy one time in 1979, and nobody asked me how I was.
Oh, I miss George Carlin.
Yeah,
That's
stealing
brilliant.
from one of the best, you know.
One of the best,
I
absolutely.
can take no credit for that. I give full credit to George Carlin, but yeah, that's good.
Oh, that's great.
Guys, why do I weigh the same on scales when I have moon boots on? Isn't the gravity of the moon lighter, so my weight should go down?
Did you activate them?
Actually, you should be heavier because the moon boots tend to weigh more.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, but if I've broken my leg and it's in a moon boot, you know, theoretically I should be lighter, shouldn't I? No?
No.
No, I don't think that's how that works.
I've never in my life changed batteries in the key fob for my car. Considering that, why don't we just put those batteries in phones?
Actually, I just had to change mine. And it was the second time I've had to change it. My car's 12 years old.
I mean, that'll do it, yeah. Yeah.
But it kind of ruins your joke when I just ended.
Damn it.
It's like the Red Dwarf one, isn't it? Why do they make spaceships out of the same stuff they make the plastic dolls out of? Because they always survive crashes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Can't we make it out of the same stuff?
Why don't we just make it out of Nokia phones?
Yeah, right? Maybe that's where Starship went wrong. They shouldn't have actually used those hexagonal panels.
Just Nokias.
Just
All
Nokia
over.
phones.
The launch pad should be lined with them.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Right? And then all of a sudden there's just Nokia phones being thrown everywhere, 10 of them go through the side of that car.
Punching holes through space and time because they're that indestructible.
One beams my camera.
Mater gets home and he's got a lens with a Nokia 3310 in the end of it and just like, so this happened. I got a free phone.
The Nokia's still working. It's ringing.
Nokia's working.
No, I just go back to my camera, and it's just a crater with a Nokia there.
Exactly.
Da 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 da.
Guys, what kind of wine did Jesus turn water into? Was it a Cab Sav or a Shiraz? Or look, I suppose the main question is it easier to turn water into red wine or white wine? Like, what's the science behind this?
Assumed it was red wine because of the color.
Red wine?
Claret.
I reckon it's a claret.
Because of the slang for it. Yeah, it's got to be claret.
Would you like some cheese to go with this discussion?
Yeah. I would
Port,
definitely.
Heathen. Get it right.
Oh, I love it. It's great.
Port and cheese.
Just on the note of cheese, why don't lactose intolerant people slowly increase their intake of milk so they aren't intolerant anymore?
A little milk injection.
God.
A little milk
Into the
every day.
veins!
10 mils of Cravendale first thing in the morning. Straight into the veins.
I just think that's going to be a whole lot of farts. A whole lot of farts there. Poor lactose intolerant people. Sorry, guys. I know it sucks. Guys, one last thing. So when that earthquake happened in Turkey, like a couple of months ago, like in February, it was 3.5 meters was the movement of the Anatolian plate that caused the earthquake.
Quite a lot.
It was pretty significant, yeah. But I just wonder, would some WD-40 have made it glide easier?
Goose fat.
Hey,
Goose fat?
goose fat between the plates. Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to respond to this one.
Turning tragedy into comedy since 1984, ladies and gentlemen. That is the real science of this entire program. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. If you've got any cool and sciencey stuff that you want to throw my way and see if we can answer, please feel free to tweet at bspacetape.
Now that we're discoverable.
Yes,
Now that we're
please.
discoverable.
Discover us. Share us. Get our word out there. We've been doing this for years and we still have not been found. Give us our big break, please.
Send an email to the Gmail address that Matoro will tell you all about right at the very end.
Oh, that I will. Oh, you can be assured.
Very good. Thanks, guys.
Stream
Thanks for
into the
indulging my curiosity.
Anytime, my friend. But on that note, I think it's time we should probably do what we usually do at the end of these things and start wrapping this up. So, my friends, I am very happy to have been back with you once again. And Aki, it was a pleasure to see you here because I thought you were going to be off this week.
Just a gift that keeps on giving.
Well, he's always a bit off, but
Yeah, the smell that we can't get rid of.
Yes, you can't get rid of me.
It's like off milk and car upholstery.
Oh, God. You don't know where it's coming from, but it's there.
Yep.
See, I was going to
Yep.
say he has a nice lavender scent about him.
No, off milk.
Off milk.
Well,
Says crusty bits you find at the seams of his suit. That's me.
Excuse me. I'm good.
He's dying.
I'm
He's
good.
dying.
Oh,
That's it, yeah.
Someone please call him a fucking ambulance.
Oh, we got a NASA beep in. I was just thinking we haven't.
There you
had
go.
one.
okay. All right. On that
Yeah,
note,
everybody
though,
gets one.
before the ambulance gets here, I'm going to say thank you all for tuning in to Boosters and Space Tape Relaunched. We'll be back soon. We would like... God, you guys are trying to kill me. We'd like to thank Popsky for our commissioned intro and outro music. You can find all of his music on his Bandcamp at popsky.bandcamp.com. That's spelled Popskyy. You can follow us on Twitter, TikTok if Digi ever gets to it, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, at Boosters and Space
Many
Tape.
more.
And many more.
And many more.
Many, many more. You can shoot any questions or feedback to boostersandspacetape at gmail.com. To keep up with our live recordings here, you can follow here on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Matoro. That is Matoro. And lastly, you can subscribe to Boosters and Space Tape on various platforms, including iTunes, Libsyn, Spotify, Audible, and iHeartRadio, and whatever else Aki's got us on now.
Pretty much everything.
Pretty much everything.
We are so discoverable right now.
Discover us!
So much discovering.
Y'all, I have been Matoro, and with me have been my wonderful friends, Digital Psychosis,
Thanks.
TheReadPanda, and
Hello. I mean, goodbye.
and one and only the one that does all our editing for us and is such a pleasure to be around, Mr. Akinesis Gaming.
Much discoverable editing.
But he still smells like off milk.
But so it smells like off milk. This is why I live alone. My
Everybody,
friends are all virtual.
God. Everybody, thank you once again, and we'll catch you soon for more Kerbal, real space, and other cool and sciencey stuff. Have a good one, and we will see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And the next episode will be in Smell-O-Vision.